We've learned now about what hemoglobin A1c means, the goal being less than 5%. We've learned how common diabetes and prediabetes are in the population. We've seen evidence for the harm due to elevated A1c, even when it's above 5% and in the so-called normal range. We've seen the mechanism whereby we develop high blood sugar and how high blood sugar causes problems in the body. So if we are one of those 1 in 3 adults who has elevated A1c and prediabetes, or even if we're an adult with an A1c of 5 to 5.6, not yet prediabetes, but still conferring a health risk, are we doomed? Is there anything we can do about it? There certainly is. I feel sorry for hemoglobin A1c when it's elevated in one of my patients because its days are numbered. I help a lot of people lower their A1c with the recommendations I'm about to provide you. Here we go. So the first thing I recommend when you get a result like hemoglobin A1c of 5 or greater is to go back to the basic recommendations in health score. Focus on psychological health. Treat anxiety and depression. This lowers our sympathetic nervous system activation, the fight or flight stress response, which causes cortisol release and blood sugar to be elevated. Go back to the sleep and activity section. Make sure you're getting 7 hours of sleep every night. This affects the sympathetic nervous system just like anxiety and depression. When you're sleep deprived, you're pumping out cortisol, which means your blood sugar remains high. So make sure you're getting adequate sleep. Make sure you're meeting the recommendations for activity. We're talking about 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity a week or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity aerobic activity each week. 2 sessions of strength training per week. Limiting total sitting time to not more than 8 hours per day and breaking up any bouts of sitting that last for 30 minutes or longer by standing for 1 minute. The nutrition section. Basically, I could highlight some of the foods that are relatively more important for lowering hemoglobin A1c, but the most important thing is that you eat all of the recommended foods on health score recommendations because it will give you the approach of how you're going to have an enriched diet, how you're going to have a diet that is varied and sustainable and is focused on the things you should eat. If you just focus on lowering A1c, you're left with a list of things you can't eat, and it's not the best way of approaching dietary change. So I recommend you go at it globally, make the nutrition changes, all of them that are listed on health score. This should result in weight loss as well as reduction in A1c.